For today's episode, we are going to discuss cloud security, one of our most requested topics yet. More and more organizations are moving their data and applications to the cloud, but along with this shift comes a new set of security challenges. As cloud adoption grows, so do the threats. So in this episode, we'll dive into some of the most prevalent cloud security threats, why they happen, and how to tackle them. Let's get started. First, let's take a look at the current state of cloud security. A recent report from Cisco revealed that while cloud adoption is skyrocketing, so are cyber attacks targeting cloud environments. Attacks targeting cloud applications grew by 30% last year alone, and it's predicted that by 2024, cloud workloads will represent over 95% of cyber attack attempts. So why is the cloud under such constant fire? Well, the answer lies in the nature of cloud itself. The cloud offers many benefits: scalability, flexibility, cost efficiency, but these same traits also make it more vulnerable. Shared responsibility model. Unlike on-premises security, where control is centralized, cloud introduces a shared responsibility model between the cloud provider and the customer. The cloud provider ensures the security of the underlying infrastructure, while the customer is responsible for securing their own data, applications, and any cloud-based assets they deploy. This split can sometimes lead to confusion about who's responsible for what, increasing the chances of misconfigurations that can then expose vulnerabilities. Second, let's explore the top cloud security risks. 1. Data breaches. Arguably the most significant fear in cloud security is the risk of data breaches. Sensitive information, like personal data, intellectual property, or trade secrets, could be exposed due to unauthorized access or vulnerabilities. For instance, unencrypted data stored in a cloud database or misconfigured access controls that allow unauthorized users to view or modify data. This risk is amplified by the fact that cloud databases typically handle vast amounts of data and need to be accessible to numerous users and applications. Now, how can we tackle this risk? Data encryption, strong access controls and monitoring, encrypt data both at rest and in transit. Use robust access controls, including multi-factor authentication. Regularly monitor access logs for suspicious activities. 2. Insufficient identity and access management. Inadequate identity and access management is another leading cloud security concern. When access policies are either overly permissive or not properly enforced, it can lead to situations where individuals have access to resources they shouldn't. This can be because of misconfigured role-based permissions or a lack of integration between an organization's identity provider and the cloud environment. This risk increases when organizations have a distributed cloud strategy with multiple accounts and projects with different access configurations. Imagine an employee who accidentally leaves the company but still retains access to sensitive cloud resources. That's a perfect recipe for a security incident. So, what's the solution here? Centralized IAM. Implement centralized identity and access management solutions. Adhere to the principle of least privilege, granting users and applications only the minimum level of access necessary. Conduct regular audits of user permissions to ensure they remain relevant and accurate. 3. Insecure interfaces and APIs. As cloud services move toward microservices and serverless architectures, the use of application programming interfaces, or AP, increases. But these APIs are only as secure as their design and implementation. Insecure APIs can be exploited by attackers to gain unauthorized access, steal data, or disrupt operations. Picture an unprotected API allowing anyone to read customer data or modify financial records. Needless to say, that would be disastrous. So how can we mitigate this risk? Secure API gateways. Implement secure API gateways to control access and enforce policies. Conduct regular vulnerability scans and penetration tests to identify and address API weaknesses. Enforce strong authentication and authorization for all API interactions. 4. Misconfiguration and poor change management. One of the biggest risks in cloud computing is the potential for Given the dynamic and scalable nature of cloud environments, it's easy for human error to slip in, leaving a storage bucket open to public access or failing to encrypt. Data at rest are examples of misconfigurations that can leave an organization vulnerable. These misconfigurations can also stem from poor change management practices. Without proper tracking and approval processes for changes to the cloud environment, there's a high risk of unauthorized or unapproved modifications that can introduce security flaws. Think of it like this. An employee makes a change to a firewall, ruled to accommodate a new application without realizing that it opens the door to a potential attack vector. This misconfiguration could allow attackers to bypass security controls and gain access to sensitive data. How can we avoid this risk? Automate configuration checks, establish formal change management processes, regularly audit security configurations and settings. 5. Lack of visibility and control. Another major cloud security challenge is the issue of visibility and control. As cloud environments become more complex, with multiple accounts, regions, and services, it can be difficult to maintain a comprehensive view of the entire infrastructure. This lack of visibility can make it challenging to detect anomalies, suspicious activities, or policy violations in a timely manner. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack, except in this case, the haystacks are your virtual machines, containers, and serverless functions, and the needles are the potential security threats lurking within. Imagine a scenario where an attacker infiltrates your cloud environment and begins moving laterally between systems. Without proper visibility, it might take days or even weeks to detect this activity, giving the attacker ample time to escalate privileges and cause significant damage. So, how can we deal with this risk? Cloud-native monitoring and logging. Leverage cloud-native monitoring and logging tools to gain insights into data flows and access patterns. Implement robust logging and audit trail capabilities. Regularly review logs to detect anomalies and suspicious activities. 6. Account hijacking. Account hijacking is a common cyber threat that occurs when an attacker gains unauthorized access to a user's account credentials, allowing them to impersonate that user and access sensitive information or perform malicious actions. In a cloud environment, this risk is heightened by the number of interconnected systems and the ease with which credentials can be shared across multiple platforms. If an attacker manages to steal the credentials of a user with elevated privileges, they can potentially compromise the entire organization's cloud posture. So, what can we do to lower this risk? Strong passwords and multi-factor authentication. Enforce the use of strong, unique passwords and multi-factor authentication for all users. Monitor user login behavior for unusual activities. Implement account lockout mechanisms after failed login attempts. 7. Insider threats. Cloud environments are not just vulnerable to external threats. Insider threats, whether intentional or accidental, can pose a significant risk. Malicious insiders can exploit their access to steal data, disrupt operations, or compromise systems. On the other hand, careless insiders can inadvertently expose data or leave systems vulnerable through misconfigurations. This risk is particularly tricky as insider actions are often not detected until significant damage has already been done. For example, an insider with access to cloud storage services could upload a malicious file to a shared repository, potentially infecting other systems in the environment. So how can we lessen this risk? Strict access controls. Implement strict access controls for sensitive resources and data. Provide regular employee training and awareness programs. Utilize data loss prevention tools to monitor data movement and activities. 8. Compliance and legal issues. Cloud environments must still adhere to various compliance and legal requirements, whether it's data privacy regulations like GDPR or industry-specific standards like HIPAA. Failure to comply with these regulations can result in substantial fines and reputational damage. For instance, a cloud database storing customer data must still protect that data according to GDPR guidelines, regardless of whether the data is on-premises or in the cloud. So what should you do to limit this risk? Understand your compliance requirements. Choose cloud providers that offer strong compliance support and certifications. Conduct regular internal audits and independent assessments. 9. Data loss. Losing data is a worst-case scenario in any computing environment, but it becomes even more problematic in the cloud, where data is often shared and replicated across multiple locations. Data loss can occur due to various factors, such as accidental deletion, issues during data migration, or service provider outages. For instance, an employee could accidentally delete a critical dataset. Or, during a migration, some data could be left behind in the previous on-premises system. This risk is exacerbated in cloud environments due to the dynamic and automated nature of cloud services. So how can we decrease this risk? Back up your data regularly. Use cloud versioning and snapshot capabilities. Ensure data redundancy across different availability zones or regions. 10. Denial of service attacks. Denial of service attacks, especially distributed denial of service (DDoS) attacks, are common threats in internet-based applications. In a cloud environment, these attacks can target cloud infrastructure like load balancers, DNS servers, or web application firewalls. A successful DDoS attack can disrupt critical business processes and impact revenue. Imagine a scenario where an organization experiences a sudden surge in user traffic due to a viral social media post. If not properly anticipated and managed, this can overwhelm the cloud infrastructure, leading to service disruptions. So how can we lower this risk? Cloud-based DDoS protection. Implement cloud-based DDoS protection services, set rate limits, and implement IP allow listing and blocklisting. Filter malicious traffic based on predefined rules. Have an incident response plan in place to quickly mitigate and recover from attacks. In conclusion, cloud security is a shared responsibility that demands vigilance and proactive measures. By understanding these top 10 threats and implementing effective countermeasures, organizations can harness the power of cloud computing while safeguarding their valuable data and applications. Remember, it's not about eliminating risks entirely, but about making informed decisions and taking proactive steps to mitigate threats. Stay vigilant and secure in the cloud. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like and subscribe for more insightful content. And if you'd like to learn more about cloud security best practices, check out the description for additional resources. Until next time, stay curious and stay secure.